Hello, so I'm here again. Now we are going to talk about Mars in the signs, in the 10th house. That's our starting point. We are looking at a very bold planet, as you know. Um, the 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 most visible expression of Mars in the 10th house is that he or she is a person of great vitality. He or she is a dominant person. So if you're looking at a kid, like I said before, you already know that you are going to deal with someone who is going to unleash a lot of energy. So it's like we have to learn how to deal with people with Mars in the 10th house because they are born with this strong leadership energy and they don't want to be contradicted. So they want to be telling you what to do and how to do, like I said. And then if you look at Mars in the 10th house, Mars in Aries in the 10th house, remember the 10th house is the highest house. We are talking about someone with a very strong determination to not allow anyone to take the space that he has conquered for himself. It's a very uh, um, it's a high achiever person, Mars and Aries in the 10th house, because they initiate things with such determination, with such a vision of what they want to conquer, that anything else that comes to disturb that will be pushed away. So just think about someone who is a CEO, chief executive or officer, someone who doesn't really allow anyone to be on top of them. The hierarchical corporate structure is not one for him unless he's on the top. Because Mars in Aries, for a male or a female, they are someone who are going to take the lead from A to Z. They might listen to you, to your suggestions, but at the end of the day, they have the last word. So this man, let's say that it's a man, Mars in Aries in the 10th house. This is probably someone who is a jet setter, who likes to be, like conquering a lot of women. Aries is like the typical alpha male. They come and they like to have a bunch of people um, serving them or giving them a lot of a lot of attention. But at the same time, when they are working, the 10th house is all about getting what you want, determined to get what you want, to get to the top. So when they are working, they are focused because they want to do it fast. Mars is about taking massive imperfect action in the 10th house, especially when it is in Aries, as this is the case that we are looking at right now, the sign, the position of Mars in Aries in the 10th house. So it's someone who is going to take action, who is going to act freely. He doesn't want to take orders in order for him to get what he wants. And if he's like someone who has other planetary aspects that tell us astrologers, or anyone looking at a chart, that they come from a humble family, they are going to be the ones who are going to climb the ladder of the social preeminence for, in that family. Okay, so think about like someone who works as a lawyer, and the person has Mars in the 10th house. This person is going to be very hard to fight with them in court because they know how to persecute. They know how to defend their ideas because they are fiercely attached, he or she, you know to how they present their ideas. They put a lot of energy. I have Venus in Aries, which is not the case here because we're talking about Mars, but I have Venus in Aries in the 10th house, and I put a lot of energy towards making my point. Okay, so Venus is a little bit more flexible, but if you think about the nature of Mars, who is a fiery planet, it's just there to assert himself. So these people have this big ego. They want you to come and say yes to them, you know, the yes men, yes women. And as lovers, because Mars is always talking about being a lover in the 10th house, they want you to trust him, that he knows where he's going. And you cannot expect a man with Mars in the 10th house to be spending all his weekends at home doing nothing, because they're going to be working. They know where they want to go. They want to achieve big things. So it's not that if you are in a relationship with a man with Mars in Aries in the 10th house, you have to be prepared to share your time, your couple time, your partnership, your relationship time, your couple's energy with his drive to get what he wants in life. So you, if you are the supportive type, that it's going to allow him to penetrate the you know the realm of work, and put a lot of energy there. And it's true too for a woman who has Mars in Aries in the 10th house. She's gonna have to find the husband who is going to allow her to have that fierce expression that it's not really common for women. Nonetheless, you know, we are looking at the contemporary women who is much more inclined to leave the family, the fourth house, which is the opposite house of the 10th house. You know, she's not so much in the realm of the home, of taking care of kids, of swiping the floor, cooking for the person. A woman with Mars in Aries in the 10th house, she's a high flyer. She wants to fly high. So if you're looking at a chart of a couple, and this guy wants to marry this woman with a intention that she's going to be the housewife, she won't. I mean, she may have planets in the fourth house, which will allow her to distribute her time and her attention between work and family. But most of all, she's going to put a lot of energy, and she might even um, get her husband to change his careers and his plans in order to follow her. You know, I'm thinking about Kamala Harris now. Yeah, I don't know if she has Mars in the 10th house. I have to see. But someone like this, you know, a woman with she has the moon in Aries. She's Libra with the moon in Aries. But so that shows how when a woman has Mars in the 10th house in Aries, as we were talking, that's what we are looking at this moment. She's going to be someone who is going to lead the relationship because of her um, determination to do something big with her career. Okay, so from that perspective, I want to say that Mars in Aries is very stubborn, because once it is determined to do something their way, they are not going to give up unless they change plans. But that's something that it's very much connected to their own decision. You might influence them somewhat, but it's not going to change their minds unless they decide from an inner perspective that that's a good thing to do. Okay. So let's move to Mars in Taurus in the 10th house. So that's another very determined person. And this person is not only after being ego centered like Mars in Aries in the 10th house, but this person is there with financial intentions. This person with Mars and Taurus in Taurus in the 10th house is someone who is going to direct a lot of their earth energy, the ability to manifest their greatest potential towards their career, to work towards accomplishing big things. Not only they want to be recognized, but they want to be paid high tickets. They want to be so well paid for the work they perform, because Taurus is about self-reliance. Taurus is about um, being resourceful. Mars in Aries, Mars in Taurus in the 10th house is a very resourceful person. It is someone who is never going to be run out of money. He's not as impulsive as Mars in Aries in the 10th house. He's going to be much more prepared to endure hardship if needed, because Mars wants to do things fast, but Taurus is like, it's the first earth sign. So it's a very slow moving aspect of the earth element. It's taking its time to ground everything. So Mars in Taurus in the 10th house is someone who is going to one step after another, like very slowly but surely going up the ladder of social recognition. So Mars in Taurus in the 10th house, because it is in a sign ruled by Venus, it's going to be much more elegant than Mars in Aries in the 10th house, who is going to be known for someone who is blunt. Mars in Taurus in the 10th house is going to be someone with the ability to take things one step after another towards achieving their goals. And it's not a fast movement. It's like one gain after another, and it's very determined to do things in a way that the financial return of what they are doing with their career is going to be consistent, is going to be how can I say, abundant, because Mars in Taurus in the 10th house is someone who is going to go after the money. Mars is about freedom, Mars is about initiative, and Taurus is about being resourceful. So your tool, your toolbox as a work, this person, this is a typical signature of someone who is an expert. It could be like let's say a minister of economy, someone who is in the treasury department, or someone who is a chief financial officer of a company, or someone who starts something that grows exponentially fast. I kind of think like Starbucks. It just comes to my mind, or Amazon.com. Amazon, things that come, they achieve a certain amount of stability that it's very hard for someone to break them from the outside. They kind of like build a monopoly. As kids they were probably playing with those games that Monopoly, those great those uh, gains that are that start early in life. So they are probably those kids that will also like to sell things. They see something that is of value that they no longer need. They're gonna put a price on it and just sell it. So it's a very good position for someone who works in the real estate market, or someone who is a developer, a big developer, someone who works with something that is very stable, real estate, just to mention one. Um, Someone who works in a restaurant business too, because Taurus has a lot to do with food. So it could be someone who develops who owns a restaurant, who owns a bakery, who develops a kind of like eatable product that everybody wants, something to drink, something to eat, that it's scalable, that you can escalate in terms of distribution. Um, Now, what kind of lover is that? Mars in Taurus in the 10th house is someone who is going to take you out for dinner to the best restaurant, is going to buy the best wine and take you to the best hotel. It's not someone who is going to be cheap, who is going to save money. They do save money, but they know how to buy pleasure. They like to show off what they have conquered in the material world, because Taurus is about the material world. So when you have Mars there, Mars, for a man or for a women, they like to show that they have a good car, that they have this nice apartment, that they are dressing super cool, with the best purse, with the best shoes, with the best suit. That's the Taurus energy. You're very sensual too. Someone who their working space is very pleasant. It probably has a good smell. When you go to their house, they're always giving parties with a lot of sophisticated elements, like great food, probably someone serving the table, because that's very much the Venus aspect, that we will see that happening in Venus in Libra too. Somehow the same energy. Libra doesn't really want that much amount of money that Mars in Taurus in the 10th house does, but it does want the same kind of sophistication. We're going to see about it. So let's look at Mars in Gemini in the third house. Mars in Gemini in the third house is someone who is going to use the power of communication in order to climb the ladder and be on top of their game by the way they produce thoughts, by the way they produce ideas, by the way they sell their ideas. So this would be a perfect person to be like a journalist, a very famous journalist, or someone who is a PR, public relations for a company that I would say like the fossil fuel company, because you have to fight. Never forget that Mars needs to use its fierce energy wherever it is. And in the 10th house, it shows its ability to stand out and fight for something. And it's related to the sign where it is. Like, since we have Mars in Gemini in the 10th house. So it's going to be someone with a high ability to negotiate, to persuade the other person, who will bring ideas, someone who might even own an editorial company, like a bookstore or a magazine, or someone who writes for a magazine, someone who is like a journalist, or someone who is a correspondent for a certain TV channel too, everything related to communications, logistics, traveling, short travel, especially, someone who is going to have to do a lot of relocation, because Gemini is about moving around. So Mars in Gemini in the 10th house is someone who is going to be on the plane pretty much all the time, and it's going to be related to work, to their work environments too. So when you look at a chart with Mars and Gemini in the 10th house, so you already know that person, if that person is assigned to do a lot of traveling, to do training and development for a company, like let's say that you are interviewing someone for a sales position, you want to see you want to take into consideration that person with Mars in the 10th house, because that's your salesperson, and she's going to be a high achiever with sales, you know. So it could be someone who is like the speaker of the house. It could be the House of the Representatives in terms of the Congress, let's say. Or it could be someone who is a press agent for someone who is very famous too, but the person who is the press agent is also someone who takes the lead. Mars is always leading someone. Sometimes you have someone who is an agent of someone else, like a famous person. That person would be like the manager of a band, or a manager of some kind of star. So in Mars in Gemini in the 10th house is someone with a lot of intelligence, but I wouldn't say like it's someone who is an expert in something, but it's someone who knows a lot of about a lot of things, and it's going to impress you because it's going to put that energy, that Martian, the Mars energy in the 10th house. So it's going to be preeminent. The 10th house is a house that shows up. It's how people look at you. It's the space that you conquer in life that allows you to stand in front of, like, it's the stage. It's the stage. It's when you step on the stage and you say, hey, I'm here doing this. And this that you are doing has a lot to do with the energy, the psychological energy that it's related to the sign where Mars is in. Okay, so let's talk about Mars in Gemini in the 10th house as a lover, because we always look at Mars as someone who has the libido. When you have Mars in Gemini in the 10th house as a lover, he's going or she's going to be a very talkative person. You're going to go out with that person for dinner. They're going to tell you a bunch of stories. They're going to tell you stories about their trips. They're going to tell you about their families, their cats, these movies that they watched, all the interests, the small little interests that they have. And they will need someone who is a good listener, because all the Martian, all that energy, that the vitality of Mars is going to be channeled through the Gemini energy. A very talkative, someone who might even not shut up. So it would be nice if this person had someone who could listen to them, right? Because they're going to need a lot of space for all that talking. It could be someone who does a lot of online presentations. It could be a keynote speaker. It could be a leader of some sort that goes to TED Talks, that presents new ideas, because Mars is the initiator, and then Gemini is about a lot of information, and then Mars as an initiator, and in the sign of communication, it could be like new ideas coming out, being brought up to be offered to the public. I'm thinking about a think tank, and I'm also thinking about the Shark Tank. Is that Shark Tank? Well, the TV program where they have that they go there and they have to sell their ideas to see if the investors are going to put money in their project. If you have Mars in Gemini, you could be one of those who are judging the return on the investment, because the 10th house is a house that who aims big gains. So, so if you are sitting in the board of negotiation, someone with Mars in Gemini is the one who can just pick up the word and do the sale. So if you are recruiting someone with Mars in Gemini in the 10th house, you sure know that that person needs to work in sales. Okay, sales of anything, of an idea, PR. Like I said, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but that's what Gemini does. It kind of like forgets what it just said, and it says again, with the same determination, because Mars is always like putting a lot of energy. So I'm not talking about the downfalls of, the downsides of these the Mars in these signs. I'm just talking about their energy. But you can see that anything that it's like over expressed, it can become a problem. Okay, like I said, Mars in Gemini is someone who is going to talk a lot, especially in the 10th house. But it's probably going to talk a lot about business too. So be prepared for someone who is going to spend a lot of time talking about their projects, and they're going to do that very often. And they expect you to listen to them. Mars in Cancer in the 10th house is someone who is very determined to acquire, to get, to conquer. I'm using acquire as conquering, okay? So that you know, because my first language is not English, it's Portuguese, so Brazilian Portuguese. So sometimes I make mistakes because not only I speak English, but I speak Italian and a little bit of French and a little bit of Spanish. So sometimes all those languages come and cross my mind, Gemini type of thing. I'm not Gemini, but just, everyone has Gemini in their chart. But we have moved to Mars in Cancer in the 10th house. So remember that in the original mandala, we have that the 10th house is related to Capricorn, and the 4th house, which is the opposite, 180 degrees apart, opposite to the 10th house, is Cancer. So in this situation, Cancer has flipped, is now on the 10th house, and Mars is there because that's what we are studying. Mars in Cancer in the 10th house now. So it's telling us that this person is going to put a lot of their emotional energy towards conquering security in life. It has somewhat something to do with Mars in Taurus, but Mars in Cancer is more of the initiator too, because it's a cardinal sign and it's a water sign. So Taurus might just invest a lot of their time to have pleasures, but it's not necessarily something that they have to feel that good about, but they want to make the money. But Cancer in the 10th house, having Mars there, it's not only about having going after security, material security, or preeminence, like being noted, being recognized for what you're doing, but it's also about feeling good about what you're doing, about feeling good about how you perform your way up to the top of your game, because Cancer has a lot to do with asking, how am I feeling? Am I okay? Am I feeling good about this? Do I feel home when I'm doing this? The feeling of going home has a lot to do with Cancer, like I feel home. That's Cancer, like I feel, so it has that kind of energy that Mars in Cancer in the 10th house is able to perform something in a high level of empathy for the other, because it's not only about getting all the strength to go out after the security that they plan, but it's also about making that the 10th house, their ambition, their ambition to be something that feels good for them and for the others. As a leader, this person is someone who is going to open their doors for the employees to come and probably tell how they feel, you know. So they're going to be a very sensitive type of boss. You know, take into consideration what I said in the beginning, that Mars in the 10th house is the boss, is someone who is not going to take orders. Or if they do, it's just for a short amount of time because they are on their way to be the boss. That's true. So when Mars is in Cancer, it means that this type of boss is someone who is going to be emotional about their employees. It's someone who is going to embrace a project that can bring some kind of warmth to their working environment and to their project. So it could be someone working in leadership of some kind of um, how can I say, OMG project, you know, someone who is going to be the chief executive of a oh my God, hospitality, hotels, restaurants too, you know, because Cancer has to do with food. It could be a restaurant owner, or it could be someone that works with kids. You know, it could be like a teacher that has a lot to work with kids, especially those small ones. It could be someone with a determination to teach kids, or it could be someone who is going to own um, who is going to be the owner of a school for kids. That's another expression for that too. But anything that allows people to feel secure, and anything that allows people to feel that they are being cared for, this person is going to put a lot of energy in that front. So next one, Mars in Leo. I didn't talk about how the lover Mars in Cancer in the 10th house as a lover. It could be, it's going to be someone who wants to protect the other, you know, protect the partner, who is going to need someone who needs them. You know, Cancer wants to be needed. And Cancer wants to be protected too. But once it's in the 10th house, it has a lot of autonomy. It has a lot of initiative. Not only that, Mars in Cancer wants to protect, but they create a whole environment for protection to be shared with people that they work with. Okay, so in a love situation, Mars in the 10th house with Cancer would be someone who is going to invite you over to their house, and they're probably going to have candles all over. They are going to have this very homey food, but with a touch of refinement, because you know, every cardinal sign, they have this need for refinement. Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, they are they want something that outstands. Okay, Leo does too. Leo does too. Leo is part of this group. But let's say that these people are the ones who are going to take action for that to happen. So Mars in Cancer in the 10th house is going to be someone with a public image of someone who is an empathic. And as lovers, they are going to bring that into the relationship. They're going to share their power. They're going to make people feel comfortable in their working environment. Now let's move to Mars in Leo in the 10th house. So Mars in Leo in the 10th house is someone who was born to be a star, who is probably someone with the looks, you know, because Leo has a lot to do with beauty, has a lot to do with how the person enters the room, and everybody looks at them. My boyfriend who passed this year of 2020, he had Jupiter and Mars in the 10th house in Leo. And so Mars in Leo in the 10th house is someone who expects the red carpet, is someone who is going to do everything to impress other people. They are going to be outstanding in the way they talk, the way they show up as with their shining personality. They are the shooting shining stars. They have, as leaders, they are someone who expect you to see how their greatest potential is expressed in every little action. Yeah. So I think that these people, they outstand just by being their own presence. The 10th house is always a house where you can step on the stage and just be there, uh, doing whatever you do best, and it's going to be easier for you to be acknowledged as someone with that presence, with that ability to impact people by its presence. And then Leo itself, it's a shining personality since day one. So whenever you have Mars in Leo in the 10th house, you already know that that person is a shining star. It's going to just show up as someone with this very interesting personality. It could be a personality cult. Yeah, you could have people like fascinated by these people. Let me show you a story about this, Michael, my boyfriend. um so one day he was very good looking. That's another aspect of Mars in Leo in the 10th house, because the person somehow shows up as someone brilliant, with especially in the features, which was the case for this man. And so we walked into this cafeteria, this coffee place in New York City, in Manhattan. And then he was just like, he had big blue eyes, and he enters the room and all the women started looking at him. And I said, oh my God. I said, baby, they're looking at you. He said, get used to it, it's always like this. So this is the Leo in the 10th house. They expect you to know that you are hanging out with someone who has a distinctive presence, and either you get used to it or you move away. So it is something that if you are not someone with a strong personality, when you meet someone with Mars in the 10th house, you already know that they are going to attract richness. They are going to attract things that are somewhat above the expectations, and they have a lot of their own expectations of being treated like kings and queens. They do that. They expect you to understand that they are on a stage constantly. So when you see someone with Mars, especially if you're getting involved with someone with Mars in the 10th house, you need to let them shine, because they are on a stage since they were kids. And if you talk to their mothers, and if you try to understand their life story, their biography, they're going to tell this kid was like really, being the center of attention since they were small. They were dancing, they were singing, they were acting, they were doing things that stands out in an artistic way, trying to impress people and trying to get the compliments. All the fire signs, they expect to be acknowledged for their bright personality, and it's a fact, they do. um okay, so how is Mars in Leo in the 10th house as a lover? This person is a lover who is going to romance you, who is going to take you to a nice restaurant, who will expect you to dress well, who's going to expect that if you become their life partners, they expect you to act as, that they expect you to bring that nobility to the relationship, because they want to show up with someone who is on the same level as they are. So with Mars in Leo in the 10th house, they can be actors, they can be actresses, they can be CEOs of a creative project, they can be art dealers, they can be someone with an ability to convince people by their own personality. They might not have the greatest product in their hands, but their own personality just embodies that kind of like star. So when you enter a room, you already know that that person is taking center stage. They're going to do things, and as lovers they will expect you to show up, to enter the room with them with the same kind of like posture. Mars in Virgo in the 10th house. So that's a good one too, because this is another one who pretty much excels themselves as experts. Mars in Virgo is very detail oriented, so it's someone who is going to be after perfection in whatever they do. So they can be like doctors, they can be lawyers, they can be scientists, they can be anything that allows them to express their perfectionist nature. They are going to be very picky about how they show up, the clothing they are wearing in public. Do I have is the right thing, is this red a good match for how I want to show up this day, today. So we're going to have that Mars in Virgo in the 10th house is an expert. It's someone who is going to go after the details of how they're going to show up to the world. And they want to make sure that they are going to be acknowledged as someone who has perfected something in their professional field. So when you think about someone who is very picky about how they are going to present a project, this is someone who you want to hire to build the whole branding of your corporation, because they're going to clean up all the edges that are not so round. They're going to be great teachers too, because they have gained so much experience, because Virgo has to do with learn by doing. Is the practitioner. Virgo is the problem solver of the zodiac. Likewise, Aries. Aries likes to take action, right? So, oh, I have a problem. Aries is not going to sit around and just wait for things to be solved. He's going to go after it. So he's going to make sure that whatever needs to be taken care of will be taken care of in an expedited way. But with Virgo, which is another earth element sign, it's going to be a bit more detailed oriented, problem solving, because they don't want to leave any detail out of the equation. So they are going to ask that you follow them through their thinking process. Virgos are ruled by Mercury, the thinking process. So, Mars in Virgo in the 10th house can be a leader, a boss that expects a lot from their team. Who is someone who is going to be after you for the details. Like send back the project, it's not good enough. You work some more hours on it, and it can really stress their team, because sometimes the your production is never good enough for that kind of boss who is thinking about all the details that you left out of the equation. Um, so as a lover, Mars in Libra, in Virgo, will expect you to be impeccable, in your ability to be really elegant. uh, when you are with them, they will not allow you to look sloppy. They will be very um, precise about what they want in a partner. They want to make sure that the person, um, that he likes the perfume, that he likes the nails, that he likes the breath of the person. And as the 10th house tends to be something that it's showing up to the world, they want to show up with someone who is also an expert, who is also someone who is detail oriented, because that's going to take a lot of their mental energy. They're ruled by Gemini, and Mars is like, come this way, this is the way, detail, perfection, so let's go this way, come with me. So as a lover, you got to go their way. You have to play the game of perfection too, or some you're going to feel that the person with whom you are with, that has Mars in Virgo in the 10th house, it's going to be someone with a high standard, high bar for everything, for behavior, for achievements in life, for the way you look, for the way you smell, for the way you present yourself, for the way for what your title is in life. You know, as a lover, they will want to show up with a distinctive um, uh, way of presenting themselves. Do not forget that the sign behind them was Leo, and Leo has a lot to do with the noble presence. And Virgo takes that to the next level, and wants it to be not only by their personality, but also for how they present themselves, present the whole package. I'm going to take a break, and I'll come back with Mars and Libra in the 10th house. More to come. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here.